Hi everyone, this is JC on the mic.
What up, what up? Yo.
No, for real now. I'm sorry. I'm done. No. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to our podcast. We are very, very excited to have you on to listen to us, as we are going to have a little bit of a yap session, but actually good yap session with a little bit of a breakdown of what the law is, and we already know why we are here. Today, our podcast basically is for us to digest and talk about the Protection of Sovereignty Act. It is surrounding sovereign voices. So you're going to hear from our speakers, who are very eloquent young people, to tell you a little bit more about this. We're going to talk about feminist protection, resilience and resistance. This is a series of Q media advocacy. And so for today, we're going to unpack this law, a law that Uganda's government says protects national self-determination, and the human rights lawyers, feminist organizers, and civil society groups say it does something else entirely. It narrows the space in which they can work, speak, and organize. So, a quick note before we even get to discussing this. We're going to discuss a little bit on state surveillance, criminalization of civic work, and the restrictions on funding and organizing. If any of that is heavy for you today, that's a fair reason to pause and come back to this episode later. We want you to come back into this space when you are eager to be with us, but also recognizing that you're safe in this space and able to listen to this with your ears. So, before we start, I want us to do a little bit of a game to relax us a little bit. This is how we want to do it today on the Q Media podcast, on our advocacy podcast. We're going to play a game called Two Truths and One Dream. So basically, and with this, our speakers will introduce themselves, tell us who they are, and they'll tell us what their two truths are and what is their one dream. So, do you know what the one dream and two truths are? Who has played it before?
Not me.
Not you?
Not me.
I feel like I played it before.
Yeah?
One dream and two truths.
Mm-hmm.
I have.
Yes.
I go?
Yes. Go.
Hi everyone. My name is Shady. I'm a lawyer. I'm a creative. I'm an advocate. And yeah, my two truths and one dream. Two truths. I love plants. I love poetry, and a dream. I dream to go to Greece to go to Greece.
And that's Subaru.
Special to Greece. Oh, I also dream about the Subaru.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that car.
Yeah.
Two truths.
Yeah.
And
one dream.
One dream. One truth. First truth is I'm a talker. I will yap.
It's
In fact,
true.
one time I was with someone, and she just told me, "Can you, for a moment, keep quiet?"
Do you know what that has reminded me of? Sorry to cut you off. I don't know if I was today in the morning. I was on X, and there's this celeb who was on a podcast and said that they took her to Butavika by her parents because she used to yap so much. This might have been you. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. I get it. Actually, when I was in P5, I was such a yapper. I got into trouble. So on my report, and never mind the fact that I had done really well, on my reports they put that I'm an indisciplined girl because I was always talking. So she always talks in class and distracts her friends. So yeah, she's indisciplined. And so when the report came back home, my elder brother was feeling like a motivational speaker, and he told me to get my art book, and I got my art book, and he told me to write, "I am sorry, I'll never talk again like that in class and distract others." And he told me to write it on 4 pages of my art book.
Child abuse.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Never mind the fact that when I went back to school, I started from where I stopped. Yeah.
Look at you now. You talk for a living.
Thank you. Yeah. Another truth is I like traveling. I really, really like. Anytime, let's go. I'm ready. Let's go. Yeah. Concrete jungle. Yeah. I'm always ready to go. Like, we go? Yes, let's go. Yeah, unless. But like, yeah, I like to travel. One dream that I have, I want to travel the world. I want to go to so many places. I've been to like maybe 8 countries now.
Yeah.
I want to go to more countries, and I want to live in New York because that's my city for real. Yeah.
And you don't have to drive. My God.
Thank you. The walking, you don't even need to go to the gym with all that walking.
You good?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. 2 truths and 1 dream for me. Oh, as your host, you'll call me Juicy. But also, my 2 truths is I like to walk so much. It's not even funny, but I enjoy to walk. Another truth.
You'll just go.
I will just
You just walk and go.
I will just go and I just go.
Telling you and wear a comb and begin like a dog licked your feet so you can't settle. You just
You know,
go.
even in Luo, they used to say that they say "Gwaro light yeni," like the dog peed on your feet. This is why, and it's still true up to date. Now I walk like a Kampala babe. Those things were like in the morning.
Yeah.
I think you walk a bit more than that because your side quests are insane.
I know.
And then another truth about me. What's another truth about me? I'm very playful. A dream I have is to have this big house that all my friends, all my family have a key to, which I know it doesn't sound very safe, but my friends will know it's safe. But this big house that all my friends have a key to, that they anytime they need to kind of move away from the city, move away from the noise, move away from themselves. It's going to be this big house where you can open, find a room for yourself, spend a day, cook for yourself, take care of yourself, and come back to normal life adulting, more rejuvenated. So this is like my big dream. And I swear, I will die on that hill until that happens. Anyway, thank you everyone, and thank you for staying on up to this point. Welcome my speakers. My speakers are lawyers, they are advocates, they are young ladies that are setting pace when it comes to law, policy, and advocacy within the queer organizing. And so for today, we want to talk about the Protection of Sovereignty Act that was gazetted finally on the 13th of April 2026, which we are in July now, and it feels like this thing has been present for a long time. Yeah. And it was moved by, we all know who shall not be named, because if you name, a drone will come for you. This bill was passed in May, of course, after adopting amendments that narrowed its scope, removed contentious provisions, and introduced safeguards aimed to align the law within the Constitution. And our speakers will tell us what some of those adoptions were and what the effect has been. And so when the president ascended to it on 17th of May, this act designates the Peace and Security Department within the Ministry of International Affairs as the implementing authority, and it provides for some stringent sections within it that talks about registration, regulation of agents of foreign entities, and the funding that they receive. Yeah. We will dive right into it, I feel. As we dive into the discussion, I want to mention this to our listeners, that while we're going to talk, there was a lot of hype. Well, it's not hype does not quite cover it, but a lot of criticism to the bill when it was first tabled. And so what we're going to discuss is the Protection of Sovereignty Act, which is much narrower, the narrower version of this bill. And it came back after all the opinions that were sent by civil society, private practice, traders, even religious leaders came in, individuals and several other people came in to bring criticism to what the provisions of this act was. Some of the provisions, of course, was about who an agent is and naming it as any person, the coverage that was walked back after public pressure, because it just quite wasn't right. And our speakers will bring back this more. It's worth naming that this is a partial win for advocacy, because then we can pretend on what registration and the funding gaps on this are, but there is a win that we can pick from these sections that were taken back and brought back after the public pressure that was brought in. It of course still brings a lot of difficulty when it comes to the funding gaps that we shall discuss. Criminal penalties, exorbitant. You do not deserve this, because what is the average Ugandan earning anyway or getting in funding? Ministerial discretion has also disappeared, because if imagine you have to, every time you need something, you have to go to the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and we know what that has been like for us, then it will make it more difficult. And so some of the criticism that came was what the Human Rights Watch called the original bill's provisions vaguely defined and disproportionate, warning that it draws on laws related that were passed in Russia and allied governments that used to shut down civil society. And yet civil society has done such a great work in Uganda. And even us as queer organizers, we have been front and center within organizing, within policy making, within advocacy, in health, legal, and in every way of prevention of health for queer persons, and also in contribution to Uganda's revenue, if we are being honest. And so to say that we do not deserve a voice when they're stifling funds, which is already so little, is just dishonest of the government. And the government's framing also that to stop foreign direct investment interferes in governance, and yet we still have a lot to do with trading. The IMF, the World Bank, has just signed a 10-year contract with the government to continue funding activities, and these activities that relate to health, relate to roads, infrastructure, and different other activities that continue to happen, right? And so I want to take this to the speakers. This is just a little bit of what this act is, and the speakers will name and tell us a little bit more. So, speaker, Miss Shady, walk us a little bit about what an agent of a foreigner could mean in practice for a feminist NGO that receives a grant from an international donor. What does that look like when they say agent of a foreigner?
Thank you, Juicy. So when we look at the act really, although it does define what a foreign agent is, or an agent of a foreigner, and before you can appreciate who an agent of a foreigner is, because this is just a person that engages in activities that are later laid down in the Act under Section 2. So when we look at what these activities are, that's how we determine who could qualify to be an agent of a foreigner. So in the instance, or under what the Act identifies as this, when you read through the Act, or when you analyze this Act, you realize that they're so hinged and very focused on political activities. So the moment you're engaged in any way with a political activity or something that the state determines to be a political activity, inherently you're an agent of a foreigner. The Act does break down how you'd engage in these activities. So if you're, for starters, they just say plainly, blankly, engaging in political activities for the interest of a foreigner. The interests are also very broadly, they're not defined at all. It's a broad, anything that's outside Ugandan interests are definitely just taken as foreign interests. So
isn't everything a Ugandan interest? What do they mean?
Exactly. How do you even draw that line? Like this is our interest. Of course, when the Act goes down into the interests, they then bring up like what they're going to be hinged on. They're going to be hinged on the Constitution, they're going to be hinged on customs, and basically what the majority wants. And when you're a feminist, when you're an organizer in civil society, you're mostly advocating for the minority groups. So that's definitely affecting our work, because if you're let's say, let me just give an example. If you're advocating for women to vote, to get access to voting materials, that's a political activity. You're advocating for them to learn about their voting rights. You're teaching them about democracy. You're educating them on these electoral processes. The moment you're doing this, and you're doing this from using funding or sponsorship or any kind of influence or employment from a foreigner or a foreign company. So a foreign agent is basically, a foreigner is basically someone who is not of Ugandan, should I say, nationality.
Yeah.
So we're looking at individuals and companies and CSOs, as long as they're not registered in Uganda and they're, what should I say? What's the word? As long as they're incorporated.
Indigenous.
Yes.
International organizations. As long as they're not incorporated as Ugandan things. So even if you have your organization here and the larger shareholders or the larger, directors are foreigners and not citizens of Uganda, that means you could easily fall among the foreigners. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you think about what registration has come and how the requirements are, we know that most organizations are registered both in Uganda and also abroad, right? Which means if the organization abroad but operating here, because they have two identities. We've seen organizations within Uganda, and because as things get tighter, that's what organizations have to do, which means if that person is a physical sponsor, it makes it difficult for the money to reach back to the beneficiaries back in Uganda, right? Okay.
Yeah. So in that instance, I feel like just to add on what you're saying, that conversation, in that instance, that company is actually like a bit of a stifle, because what exactly are you going to, the way the law is, they have not built anything on the laws. There are no regulations. So we don't know if that will actually qualify you as a foreign agent, because for as far as we know, you're actually not registered here. Maybe we'll hinge on if the directors are resident here. But again, the law needs so much more.
What I heard within these discussions, everyone kept on going back to the tax regulations and saying so that the tax regulations is what now we are thinking are the regulations that are helping us define who is a foreign agent within the provisions of the Protection of Sovereignty Act. Do you agree? Is it enough, do you think?
I don't think it's enough. I agree, but I don't think it's enough. It needs to be, they need to be drafted to like specifically for this. We can't just borrow from another law.
Yeah.
Though it's sufficient, but we're just gambling, and also on motives, it's assumptions, okay.
It's also important to note that, again, in this very law, they speak to having regulations drafted by the minister or the agent that is in charge of that. And we know very well that right now, it is, according to that law, it's the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. One, we do not have a Minister of Foreign Affairs. We have an acting person, I think. But so, by mere virtue of the fact that we do not have a minister, that means the minister is not there. So there is no board that has been constituted. And so because there is no board that has been constituted, there is also no regulations that have been placed for the enforcement of this law. So basically we are put to our own devices, do what you can and what you think, interpret it how you will, and then figure it out later, because even the interpretation section of the law does not give us a lot to work with.
It's very define. I
think actually it's intentional for it to be ambiguous like that, because if something is ambiguous, it is unenforceable, but also because it's unenforceable, that means organizations or people that are within this space are very easily affected by it, because when the enforcer comes to enforce, will simply say you fall under this ambit, and then by the time you start now explaining that, oh no, the law says this, I'm not a foreign agent, I'm this, I'm the other, whatnot, by the time you're done explaining all of that, you've probably already lost your license, you already don't have a permit, you've been put under state surveillance and things like that. And those are things that are going to be extremely difficult to get back, because we have history of this has happened before.
What do you mean before? this year alone. Yeah.
Maybe let me add on.
Yeah.
I wanted to add on the foreign agents. I don't know if I'd finished it fully.
No.
Because also, as we are looking at the activities that are identified as the activities that a foreign agent engages in, for anyone or for us as human rights defenders, we need to look at the fact that in case, or this act purports to say that for any person who agrees, consents, assumes, or even purports, as long as you hold out to be an agent for the purposes of promoting interests of a foreigner, so it doesn't have to be written. For as long as I come out personally and I stand up and say, I'm promoting equal rights for LGBTQ people, that's not a national interest. That's frowned upon. Like when we look at the ideologies that are guiding Uganda as per what the act requires to guide what a Ugandan interest is or what a national interest is, homosexuality is one of the things that's frowned upon. So by me identifying myself hypothetically as someone that's promoting these rights for a group of minorities, then yeah, I'm a foreign agent. And yeah, also in case a foreign agent is someone who influences the development of policy of government without approval from the cabinet, and also if you go ahead to influence the public to oppose a policy of government. But now you see how this can be very problematic, because if we sit here and educate people about the implications of a policy on them, which is like civic education, they have a right to this information, they have a right to be educated, and the government actually has this obligation to educate the people, to educate its citizens. But if we're doing this, and even in doing that, you can easily be grabbed. If people get to understand their rights, and in that understanding they understand and go against or advocate for the repealing or for the modification of any policy, or they oppose it in any way,
yes,
that's political activity, that's disruptive activity. So,
yes, and yet this is what civil society does. It brings criticisms to the things that society in essence is not benefiting from.